The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock, or you can catch me on Apple or Spotify if you miss an episode, or go to themainstreetcode.com and you can get all your past episodes that we talk about. The code stands for choice, organization, direction, and education. And we have hundreds of clients here in Long Island, as across the United States, as well as advisors, attorneys, and accountants that come to us with any insurance issues. We're completely independent, representing 30 different insurance companies. If you come for a consult, we do not charge for that. I know we've had several people come in the last few weeks. I don't charge for a consultation. I make my money by commissions if there's any products that we work with, and referring me to your friends and relatives to help them in their situations. That's how I make my money, and I'm very happy to help. And if you don't have a financial team, I'm happy to coordinate one for you. So I know we spoke to some people this week that we are sitting down with attorneys and doing their wills, and we want to make sure everything works in sync with everything else that you're doing in your financial life. Last week, if you heard our episode, we talked about the Connelly versus Treasury decision. And you go, I don't remember that. What we really talked is, does your business have a will? And a will is basically an exit plan or a succession plan. It's really a strategy for your business. Many people don't realize that the largest asset they have is their business. And what happened in that decision was that insurance policies that were taken out where the business was the beneficiary and the owner ended up increasing the value of the business to the point where it created a big estate tax situation and a big disparity among shares of the business, because all of a sudden you doubled the value of the business with the insurance proceeds, where if it was structured differently, it would not create estate taxes, and all that money could be distributed estate and income tax free if structured properly. So what our recommendation is, the other thing that came out of that decision was the valuation of the business all of a sudden changed dramatically. And business valuation should be done quite frequently, because let's face it, as our businesses grow, the values grow, more people come in, or they're not doing so well, but the business value can change from when you set up your agreement. You might set up your agreement and say the business is worth X, but when someone passes, all of a sudden the business is worth Y, and if you don't have an insurance policy in place, you have to liquefy the business to buy out the other partner, let's say, or partners, and take care of their family, unless you want them involved in your business and running your business for you. So that's why we do these insurance trusts or limited, liability corporate for holding the insurance, or cross-purchase type of insurance. So we talked a lot about that. And this week I want to talk about something else. I realized that after doing the show for a couple of years, we have a lot of farms that listen to our show. And if you own a farm, you need to know ask yourself this question. You should be asking your accountant and your attorney these questions. The new Farm Bill 2024, which just approved in November, late November. And there's a lot of components to it. And you could be doing quite well with this Farm Bill. And this is why you really need to be up to date on what these things are. You know, I just attended a seminar on this yesterday. I can't tell you I'm an expert in taxation, or the law for that matter. I know enough to be dangerous, but we can put you in front of the right people to restructure what you need to do. So a lot of great accountants and attorneys may have put your farm in, let's say, a limited liability corporation or an LLC, and that could kind of hurt you. I mean, they did it to protect you, and it was the right thing to do. But now there's like this new subsidy. There was a subsidy program out there that was increased from $50,000 to $125,000 per person. And that subsidy has to do with, food growing crops. Again, we can get into the details, but as I read it, and what I took from this seminar I attended yesterday on the agriculture, is per person. That subsidy could be per person. So if you're a family and your husband and wife, you have a child working there, or two of your children, and there's 4 or 5 people that really own that farm. If you put it in an LLC, the maximum subsidy you can get is $125,000. But if it's individual, it could be $125,000 a person. That's huge. Very huge. So again, it depends on what you're growing and how you're doing it, but these are things that you should be talking over with your accountant. There's also tax breaks if you are selling food products overseas. The government has put in this Farm Bill. There's a lot of little intricate things that are involved in this Farm Bill that could genuinely affect your current income and future income and protect you and insulate you from excess taxation and or give you subsidies, which would be fantastic, because the more money you have and the more money you can keep, the more money you can preserve for your retirement and leave as a legacy to your family. So we aim to protect, and all these different little things help us free up money to do other things. And this is why we get engaged. And the biggest issue that farms have, and have always had, but now more than ever, and this is why you need to keep track of what's going on, and you need to have advisors on a regular basis. The estate tax law is changing. 2025, it sunsets. The Tax Act sunsets. So while the estate tax right now can give you almost $11 million per person, it drops down to 5.5 or 6. Now that sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. And you say, well, my estate, I don't have that big estate. But if you have a farm on Long Island and you own 10 acres, 20 acres, 30 acres, the IRS values your farm per acre as to the best use of acre. So if you have an acre of land that's worth $250,000 and you have 10 acres, that's $2.5 million. If you have, if your value of your land is worth $1 million and you have 10 acres, that could be worth $10 million. That could put you over a threshold and create estate taxes with everything else you have. Then your whole estate becomes taxable as much as 50%. So you want to leave that to your kids, you got to be prepared and have things structured right. And life insurance is a great conduit for paying estate taxes. And we can figure out by how your farm operates and everything, if you're leaving to the next generation, how to do that properly. And the other thing and huge consideration is if you have children that are going to remain working with your farm, or some will and some won't, and to buy the child that maybe isn't, but you want to treat them equally, you might need to buy some life insurance so they can buy out a portion of the farm. So all these changes in laws created, you have to be up to date on. So you need a CPA, an attorney, a financial advisor who's really up on what's going on to protect you. You have a very unique, if you're a farmer, you have a very unique occupation class, and the accountant should be up to speed on exactly what is available to all the farms in his area. That should be a real niche and specialty. And if your accountant is not specialized or doesn't know these things, find another accountant, because you need to ask these questions. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm Neil Himmelstein. I can be reached at 631-647-4694, or you can always visit me at themainstreetcode.com. If you have a business or your family's part of a business, very important that you review your financials and what can be done and can't be done. Well, I'll be right back after a commercial. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. If you were listening or you just missed what we talked about this Connelly versus Treasury decision the Supreme Court upheld. And we also talked about the Farm Bill, which recently got approved, the Farm Bill of 2024. If you're a farmer, you need to know. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then I have to talk about something else today as well. So a lot of it's been focused on business, but let's talk about you and your situation. If you have as a beneficiary your child to your 401k, your IRA, your 457, your 403b, or any of those things, you could be leaving your child a humongous tax burden. And I don't think that's the way you want to leave your legacy, leaving a burden. And this is occurring every day. That people don't realize is that 401k and all that's money you said, and you leave it to your child, well, they have to take that out over 10 years. Now, if your children are very successful, they're doctors or lawyers or whatever, that's not going to mean a whole heck of a lot, because that money is going to be super taxed, plus their income's going to be taxed. So all that's taxed at ordinary income. You could throw them into another tax bracket, and they could be paying, over 40% in taxes on that. It's not a way to leave your money. Okay? If your kids aren't doing well, you could also put them in another tax bracket. Or if, let's say, your kid needs special needs and you leave them the money, and all of a sudden they can't get social programs because now they have this income they have to take. And again, they have to take it over 10 years. So you can't stretch it out like you used to. Any IRA, 401k money, it's all taxable and has to be taken over 10 years. And if you have an estate issue, that you have a lot of money, and you have a state tax issue, it's also state taxable as well. So you could be giving away 80% of that money if it's estate taxable and income taxable. So I know a lot of people, and the government's done this great favor in letting you accumulate all this money and let it tax deferred, but at some point, you're going to have to pay the piper. And the government says, listen, you leave that to your kids, you could be creating a major tax burden. So give us a call at 631-647-4694, and we'll explain to you some strategies to minimize that burden and maximize your legacy. That's what we're trying to do, is protect your money, not only for yourself while you're living, but also when you pass, to have the best legacy and the best life possible. The big families, the Rockefellers, and all these have all figured out ways to pass money on from generation to generation to generation. And the ones that haven't, I know some very successful people who, by the time it got to the second or third generation, their businesses are gone, the money is gone, and the family legacy is dead because they don't do the proper planning. And how do we do that planning? We do that with really good life insurance planning. Now, another area I want to talk about is the current interest rate environment. We keep hearing that the Fed is looking to cut, They haven't made any cuts this year. So for those of you who are around Now's the time to take advantage of really high interest rates to your advantage. Okay, and what I'm saying is you want to take care of your long term, not just your short term. Banks all of a sudden are giving you these great short term offers. Why are banks giving you these great short term offers? 5% for 6 months or T-bills, short term money. And why is it short term money? Well, basically the banks are hurting. They're hurting because they lent out money at 2 and 3% on 30-year mortgages, and they're stuck with that at that low interest rate environment. So they need to raise money to service those loans they have out there. So you see what happened to Sterling and this bank and that bank in New York and across the country. But that's why you're seeing these great short-term rates. We have annuities that can give you long-term rates at the same thing the banks are giving you for short-term. And I highly recommend that you lock up your money at least 5 years or 7 years on a longer-term basis, because we believe very strongly that at some point interest rates are going to come back down. Do I think they're going to come back down a lot? I don't know. It's anyone's guess. But Europe just lowered their rates. There's some pressure to lower our rates. As we have inflation somewhat under control, you may not feel it, that it is, but people I know are making more money than ever. But as the government feels that's cooled, they can begin to lower rates again. And then I don't want you to miss out on this high rate opportunity. One annuity we have, for instance, will give you a 5% bonus on all your money. And you can continually put money in. The whole first year that you put money in, it'll give you 5% bonus on top of 3.9% rate, or 3.8% rate is what it is right now. So you're going to get essentially 8.9% guaranteed for any money you put in the first year. And then as it moves on, it's sitting at a rate of 3.9%. But if the rates drop drastically, contractually, it'll only go down to 2.9%. So how many savings accounts do you have that guarantee you close to 3% and will give you such a huge bump right away? That's an annuity that so many people are participating in right now, but not that many people know about it. We also have, if you really are interested in taking advantage of this big market surge that we're having and continue to have, I don't know when it'll stop, but we have accounts that you can buy a hedge on the market and make up almost close to 10%. And if the market does poorly, you'll be at 3%. So still a huge hedge where you can't lose money. And I like to work in the fixed environment where you can't lose money, or work on an index where you can't lose money. You can only gain. And if the market goes south, and it can, and who needs a market to go south when we're retired or near retirement? We don't need that. So we like to buy these hedges where we want to do some market risks, but we can't afford to lose. That's called indexing. We do that. Or we have fixed buckets where you can contribute, or you can do some or all. I mean, the idea is to save your money. So, covering a lot of areas today, so I want you to stay awake here. So, you can do that with annuities. Annuities are a great, great tool to defer money, and they're very tax efficient because all the money is deferred. Now, you can get a 5% CD, but you pay tax on that every year. So if you're in a 35% tax bracket, that 5% becomes 3.5%. Excuse my math. If you're in a 40% tax bracket, it's 3%. But essentially, you're not really earning that because it's being taxed. So your real earnings. But if it's in an annuity, it grows tax deferred. So if you earn 5% one year, and that number goes from, let's say, 100 to 105, and you earn 5% the next year, that compounds without taxes being taken out. That's big. So 5% is not the same if you're getting it in a CD or you're getting it in an annuity. 5% in annuity is tax deferred. CDs are not. You pay tax on them every year. Your savings account, you pay tax on every year. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You want a multiple strategy of what's the right thing for you. Everybody has their own individual needs and goals and aspirations. But consider annuities right now. They're paying very high rates where you can still get you 5% for 5 years, or get you a big bonus, or work on an index. There's all kinds of annuity strategies, and there's all kinds of life insurance strategies where you can put the money in, grow it tax deferred, and take it out tax free, 100%. Tax deferred, tax free income. No other product you can do that in the universe. It's all protected. Your money is protected that way. We aim to help you invest, but protect your investment and prosper on your legacy and have money for your retirement and protect that retirement. You've been listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm Neil Himmelstein. If you want to reach me, 631-647-4694. I'm always available for consultation, whether it's you or whether you're an attorney and you're struggling with a life insurance, you need to do your fiduciary review of the life policies, give us a call. We are experts in that area. 631-647-4694, or visit me at themainstreetcode.com. Thanks, and have a great day, everyone.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.